Wait, are you saying that Lyndon Johnson, was he now President of the United States?
Yes.
Said to you personally?
Yes.
You swear this?
Swear.
That the oil people and the CIA were involved in the murder of John Kennedy?
Yes.
LBJ said that to you?
Yes.
Was it just the two of you alone?
Yes.
You sure it's not that the passage of years have made your memory foggy?
No.
You're not embellishing this tale, man?
No.
You sit here today and you claim that LBJ said the oil people and the CIA...
Scout's honor.
...killed the president.
Right.
What you just heard right there, as shocking as it might sound, was from Madeleine Brown. Or who knows, it might not shock you at all, depending on where you land on this kind of thing. Brown claimed she had a long, secret relationship with Lyndon B. Johnson, and she insisted, Scout's honor, that he personally pointed the finger at powerful forces behind JFK's death. And that is exactly why the Kennedy assassination remains America's most evergreen mystery. No matter how many reports, documentaries, and official conclusions come and go, Dealey Plaza still feels like an open case in the public mind, because the story keeps attracting these up-close accounts that sound too blunt to ignore and too messy to neatly prove. In today's deep dive into the mysterious and unknown, we're following LBJ's alleged mistress and her claimed new details about the JFK assassination. A warning the night before.
Let's go back to the night before. When Johnson came out of the meeting, what did he say to you?
He was so angry. He had a violent temper when he was upset.
Well, let's use the exact words that he said to you. What did he say to you?
He grabbed me by the arm, and he had this deep voice, and he said, after tomorrow, those SOBs will never embarrass me again. That's no threat. That's a promise.
Brown frames this as a private moment with a public figure, not a public statement with polished language. She describes anger, physical force, and a line she insists was meant as a promise, not a joke. The key detail is timing. In her version, this happens the night before the assassination, right after Johnson steps out of a meeting, which implies he had just heard something that set him off. She also puts a spotlight on Johnson's temperament. In her telling, the words matter, but the way he said them matters just as much, because she's asking you to picture someone boiling over, not calmly venting. This section is the foundation of her entire JFK story. If the line was real and tied to that timing, it sounds like foreknowledge. If it was only an angry outburst, it becomes something else entirely. The morning call from the Texas hotel.
But he called me from the Texas hotel the next morning as I was going downtown.
Right.
And hear this screaming voice of his. He was so irate, and he didn't give me time to talk to him. You know, he just he was still angry.
Notice how she does not leave the story at the night before. She adds a second anchor point, a phone call the next morning tied to a specific place she names as the Texas Hotel. In her account, the call is intense and one-sided. She says he was screaming, still irate, and that she barely had room to speak, which is her way of saying the anger carried over. That matters because repetition changes how listeners interpret the earlier line. A single heated remark could be dismissed as venting, but Brown is trying to show a pattern that continues into the morning of the assassination. She also drops in a simple detail about her own movement, going downtown, that's meant to make the moment feel ordinary and therefore believable, like it happened inside a normal day. How she says she got close to him.
And while I was dancing with him there at the Driscoll, he put a key in my hand, and of course I was old enough to know what it was for.
Before she ever talks about conspiracies, she presents a relationship origin story that's built around parties, access, and a private invitation. The Driscoll Hotel key detail is her shorthand for how quickly it turned personal. This matters because it's her explanation for why she would be in a position to hear political rage up close. She's not describing a distant admirer. She's describing someone who believes she was brought into Johnson's private orbit. It also sets a tone for how she narrates everything else. She speaks in concrete scenes, a party, a dance, a key in the hand, which makes her claims feel like memories instead of theories. In this section, the new information is the way she links intimacy to credibility. She's essentially saying, I knew him in a way that would produce unguarded words. New Year's Eve and the names she claims he said.
And he had a temper fit. He blew up and just screamed and hollered, and then he calmed down, and he turned around, and he said at that time it was the oil people I knew and the CIA.
Here, Brown shifts from a warning before the assassination to what she claims was said after, during a meeting she places on New Year's Eve in Austin. She says she was worried because people in Dallas were talking about Johnson's involvement. In the clip, she describes a blow-up, followed by a calmer moment where she says Johnson blamed, quote, the oil people and the CIA. Those are broad categories, but she presents them as the core of what he told her. This is where her story becomes more than a personal grudge. It becomes a claim about powerful networks, Texas wealth, and intelligence connections, with Johnson positioned as someone who knew what happened. It's also the point where her allegations can be compared to other sources and timelines because she's making a direct claim about what a future president supposedly admitted in private. LBJ on doubt and the Warren Commission.
I can't honestly say that I've ever been completely relieved of the fact that there might have been international connections.
You mean you still feel that there might have been?
Well, I have not completely discounted.
Now we step away from Brown and listen to Johnson's own later words about conspiracy. He does not endorse a specific plot, but he also does not slam the door shut on the idea of wider connections. He's asked whether he's satisfied there was no international conspiracy, and he says he cannot honestly claim complete relief. That's careful phrasing, and it leaves room for uncertainty without naming names. This clip does not confirm Brown's story, but it does show why people keep debating. When the man who created the Warren Commission admits doubt, it feeds the sense that the official story might not cover every angle. So the new information here is the contrast in style. Brown gives vivid private scenes and specific accusations. Johnson gives guarded public language and a measured admission that uncertainty can remain. Now it's time to hear from you. When you hear Madeleine Brown describe that promise line and then hear Johnson admit he never completely discounted possible connections, what do you think matters more, the alleged private warning or the cautious public doubt? Let us know in the comments section below.
In a way, members of the family, they very often have sat on the panel with us. We considered what we might do to express our sense of loss and to pay tribute to Dorothy in a special way. And in the end, we agreed with her good husband, Dick Colmar, that the best tribute to Dorothy would be to do what's my line just as it was when she was here. That is what we will try to do.